Alright, what's cracking with y'all? It's your boy Prince the Hustle God, aka Wise the Warlock, and we reaching in our combat tool bag one more again. It is a cold black affair. Shout out to the mighty LDBC, LDBC only, LDBC everywhere, LDBC or nothing. So this video is legacy versus prize. Legacy fighters versus prize fighters. So follow me. I'll bring it full circle to be about Matias and Regis Prograis. So when we look at a prize fighter, the first thing that pops in our mind is Floyd Money Mayweather. Money Mayweather got the name Money and coined himself Money, if I'm not mistaken, around the Oscar De La Hoya fight, or at least that's when most boxing purists consider his transition to be, right at the Oscar De La Hoya fight into Money, from Pretty Boy into Money. He's not a great example, but you'll get what I mean. Now, he's not a great example because even in his Money phase, he has more names than a lot of these so-called great fighters. He has names like Miguel Cotto, Juan Manuel Marquez, Ricky Hatton, and this is all after Oscar De La Hoya, not counting Robert the Ghost Guerrero, when I believe he only had one loss at that time. That's why he's not a great example, but why he fits is the maneuvering around opponents that were great at the time, or selecting opponents that were quote unquote green, or quote unquote well past their prime, like Canelo or Marquez or Shane Mosley, another name I left off. That said, the purpose for that was to garner a big enough name that would help sell fights for a great return, but not be that great of a risk to his record. Hence the term prize fighter. And granted, it's almost a non-argument because legacy fighters are prize fighters are legacy fighters. But for the sake of this argument, you look at a prize fighter as someone who solely fights for money, and then a legacy fighter is someone who solely fights for their legacy. And a legacy fighter, no fighter fights to be poor. So a legacy fighter is going to be paid. Therefore, they're coined a legacy fighter because of how they act as a fighter. Simply who they fight, when they fight, their attitude towards fighting, and their attitude towards fighters, versus someone who, no, the same criticisms can be made for a prize fighter who the answer to all of those questions doesn't seem to be a person that holds a title, but a person or a thing that results in the most money. So that said, getting back to Floyd as an example of a prize fighter, when Floyd became Money Mayweather, his level of competition, it plateaued, we'll say. It didn't go down because of the quality of the names and the quality of the fighters, but the timing in which he fought them was everything. Sugar Shane Mosley had the name Sugar because of how great he was at lightweight. They fought at welterweight when Sugar was well past his prime, which was at lightweight. Floyd also, I would say, if we're actually looking, comparing a prize fighter to um, a legacy fighter, Floyd, Pretty Boy Floyd, would be the legacy version of that, um, where at his best he was at 135, where he garnered most of his undefeated record, most of his um, bigger performances, or better quality performances of a fighter. Um, but yeah, so not to get too far off track, because I do have to bring this full circle, but the prize fighter, the person who solely fights for money and screw the legacy, and then the legacy fighter who the money can come and money will come, but it's all about the legacy, or the history, the story that he or she leaves behind, based off of the scalps they went and got, real gladiator level things. Pretty Boy Floyd was the gladiator. He would fight anybody, anywhere. I'm not ducking anybody was his favorite phrase. That would be how he said it, with even more vigor. Um, and it was all to prove that he was a pound for pound great, to prove that he was better than Roy Jones at the time, to prove that he was worth the attention. Floyd, Pretty Boy Floyd Mayweather, wanted the attention and the respect that he felt he garnered from fighting quality competition and destroying them and dismantling them as well, if not better than the biggest names out there. Floyd Money Mayweather, on the other hand, didn't care at that point, because separating the two, he felt boxing wouldn't pay his bills, boxing wouldn't feed his kids, a legacy or a belt um, doesn't pay for his Audemars, in his own words. So I feel like it's no question that when we mention Subriel Matias and Regis Rugarou Prograis, that we're talking about two legacy fighters. Both fighters have one loss. Both fighters are fighting for titles after Regis had a title, and after Subriel Matias was on a crazy tear and being very close, and not some, but major boxing politics got in the way of both of their success moving forward, not counting the loss. Boxing politics in actuality, I won't go into extreme depth, but you have the Daniel Kinahan situation floating around Regis Prograis. You have the murder or the death of the opponent the death of Maxim Dadashev, that clouded the aura of Subriel Matias. Two very, dare I say, deadly, ruthless, powerful fighters in the same division. Now Subriel Matias will be fighting very soon for the IBF title, and Regis Rugarou Prograis will be fighting for the WBC. We all know that Josh Taylor is undisputed at 140, but after his fight with Jack Catterall, he um, he gave up. Well, not gave up, but essentially relinquished two belts, which happen to be the belts that we see the two great young fighters about to fight in separate battles for. Um, he retains his lineal title as he's yet to be beat, and he also retains the WBO what Bob ordered belt and the WBA the other corrupt belt. Needless to say, he goes into a rematch with Jack Catterall soon, only defending those two belts in his linealship. And we have Regis Rugarou Prograis, a legacy fighter, coming to his second chance at a title, fighting Jose Zepeda, and that'll be for the WBC. And my money is on Regis in that fight. Very tough fight. Um, and then we have Subriel Matias. I'm not sure exactly who he's fighting, but when he fights, I'm almost guaranteeing a victory there. So when we have the IBF new champion Subriel Matias, Brownie versus Rugarou later in the future is a great question, seeing as Rugarou, Regis Prograis, firmly and adamantly believes no one is calling his name and no one wants any smoke with him. Subriel Brownie Matias, on the other hand, directly called out Regis Rugarou Prograis and echoed his call out, stating that I'm calling you out essentially, and I've been calling you out. So when these two men get their titles, given they get the good purse, a reasonable purse, we'll see two legacy fighters in a unification for 140, and neither men looking to back down, neither men looking to take a step back, both men seeking to destroy and be the new WBC and the IBF champions of the world, or champion of the world. That said, it is always will be a Code Black affair. Till next time, guys, please check out and support everything LDBC, everything Trilitary. Check out the Simple Truth Network. Please shop usualsuspect6.com. Pick up your combat tool bag merch. Please support the Usual Suspects, each individual channel, and please scour the site. There's a number of great drip up there, for men and women's. Check out and support 9-4 Sun God, 9-4 Films, Acting Right TV, and obviously Combat Tool back here. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and do me a favor also, check out HFO Church. Till next time, guys, deuces.